and this one people always get really interested in, and they push back on me a lot on this one, but it has to do with gambling. Do you gamble? Do you? Okay, tell me your go-to games. What do you do? What do you do first?
Well, so I bet on sports usually. I used to bet on sports a lot. Like, so I was, before it was even legal, I had a friend that was a bookie, and I would have legal pads the amount of games I bet on. Like, so on a Saturday, this was back when I think DirecTV just started doing college game day, I think it was called, so that you could see way more games. So I got that, and then I would I had just a sheet of, I would probably make 40 to 50 bets in a Saturday on whatever, between $20, $30 a bet. Typically by the end of it, like, I was hardcore into this, like studying trends and all that stuff too. And it was funny because, like, I would have all this money going or whatever in gambling, and by the end of the day, be like, oh, you won $10. Oh, you lost $20. Like, it was always like right around 50-50. Like, I never won a lot, but I never lost a lot either. So yeah, betting on sports. And then as far as like going to the casino, whatever, I could sit at a roulette table for probably 6 hours. You just sit there and bet on the different stuff that's on there and not go crazy high or crazy low. You know what I mean? So yeah, those sports gambling, and then whether it's on football, although now it's nice because it's legal, I can bet on golf, so the Masters is coming around. I've got money left over from football that I'm just going to put $10 on 20 guys with odds, and you know what I mean? That's a lot of fun. But yeah, as far as like table games or like roulette's number one.
So if I challenge you to a betting competition, your strategy, do you think it's gut feel, or like you had an actual mathematical advantage and you think you could be up no matter what?
So every gambler has a strategy, right? Whether or not they work. So for roulette, all I'm paying attention to on roulette is the board. So what numbers have come up, how many in a row has been red, how many in a row have been black, first, third, second, third, like those whatever. And I'm just betting the probabilities of what I think could come up next. Like, oh, this hasn't come up for this many rolls. It's going to. Eventually that's going to hit, you know what I mean? So that's why I can usually sit with roulette a long time. It's not just like random or whatever. And I usually don't put a bunch of money on like the individual numbers. Occasionally I'll throw like a $5 chip or something on those. And it's nice when they hit, but that doesn't usually happen. It's usually just on the other stuff. And yeah, I'm doing it based on probability of what's come up recently. And the idea that, you know what I mean? Like, eventually that's going to come back around. As far as sports go, I'll do that a lot with sports though too. Like, so say football teams, the overs hit like 6 weeks in a row for a football team, right? Like, so unless it's like some crazy extreme circumstance, Vegas wants that over under to be 50-50. Like, they want that to be as close to 50-50 as they possibly can. So if there's a big trend going where, okay, this team's covered 7 weeks in a row, well, they're due not to cover, you know what I mean? So I'll start going on that. So I'll look for longer trends like that. And that again, I'm not winning a bunch of money on this, but I'm also not losing a bunch of money doing any of this either.
Well, and as you know, the gamblers that I talk to in our era, it added an element to the game. When you have money riding on a game, you watch it differently because different things matter to you. You pay attention to maybe players that you wouldn't ever pay attention to. It makes the game more fun. And after the game is over, you're happy if you win, but you're like, I would do that again, even if I'm not a winner at it, because you purchase a new element to the game. And I also know people who don't give two shits about the sport they're watching. All it is the reason that they're going to make some money at the end of the day, and they take it serious, and they don't like losing, and they look at the statistics and spreadsheets and formulations in order to pick what they are. And I know people who are 60+% up over the lifetime of how they've been gambling. And if you could be above 50-50, right, you're doing something right. You're skewing the odds, 10% in your favor. What sport are you most successful? Where do you think you're most confident that you could, win? If I gave you $100 right now and say bet on something with a high probability, we're splitting a win at the end of the day.
Probably pro football.
Pro football?
It used to be college football, but college got much harder to bet in recent years. With sort of when defense went away, college got a lot harder to bet because like it just became so offensive point scoring oriented that like the swings would be way more massive than they used to be. Like you don't get like the Jim Tressel 16 to 13 games anymore. You don't get a lot of those where it's easier to kind of pick within college. And there was more discrepancy in college before too, like with the smaller schools. Like you could kind of tell when they were going to cover, or it's gotten harder to bet college football. So pros are a little bit easier in that regard. But yeah, I would say pro football.
So and I kind of think of like roulette, for instance. Like I would picture that game as being like a coin flip game where they had, you know, two things, red, black, and you put your money on it. And they were like, let's add some sophistication. And they start bolting on new ways of betting the same action that's happening on the table. So like DraftKings and some of these online sports betting, literally they just keep increasing the things that you can bet on. Like, does the quarterback, you know, take his helmet off before the first quarter? Like, to me, those are like weird bets. Like,
I don't bet any of those. Yeah, I'm not into any of the random weirdo prop bets, whatever. I don't do stat bets either, where it's like, oh, so-and-so's going to have this many yards, the over-under on this. I don't do any of those. Like, it's for pro and college football, it's more often than not. One thing I did for a couple years where the only thing I would bet, the only bet I would ever make on any game was the under. So I would look at games that I thought were going to go under, and I got really good at it. That was probably the most successful I ever was. So I want to ask you this, and I'll tell you this.
Yeah.
What screws me up betting, and what ends up costing me, is when I make a bet on a whim. If I'm sitting in a bar and like, oh, I can just put money on this now or whatever, when I make a bet that I have no business placing, like those will screw up whatever win streak I have or whatever win percentage I have.
Impulse bets, yes.
Impulse bets will get me every time. So is there anything that you do that screws up your betting or screws up for you?
Well, see, I'm the opposite. Like when I'll go 50-50. It's not exciting for me because when I bet college stuff, I'm right about half the time. And so if I put $5 in there a year from now, I'm going to have $5 still in there because for whatever reason. But then I'll get down to my last $5 and I'll just do something silly, crazy that has like 1,000% odds on it. And I'll hit those stupid ones that are impulses because I wanted to see the money go away so I could just get away from doing it. And I'll freaking hit those ones. But I'm a math guy to begin with. So it's really hard for me to either I'm doing this to win money and I'm going to take it serious, I'm going to formulate it, or this is just like chasing a high of some kind. And I find myself chasing the high of then, ruining the game for me and making it formulative.
That's what, I mean, chasing the high or doing whatever, like, that's what screws you up. Because you're 100%. Like, oh, yeah, I'm going to put this on this side. I wouldn't care about this game otherwise. And I think this team's whatever. When there's like when you place a bet and there's no real thought behind it or real, like, you're not looking at any kind of numbers or trends or anything statistically to back that up, it'll get you almost every time. You know what I mean? Like, all right, bets never really go well for me.
No doubt. So let me warn you that in the next era, the next generation, and two old guys, that's all we do. We sit around Arby's, we drink coffee, and we talk about how stupid the next generation is going to be, right? And this is something I am willing to guarantee. We'll put some money on it. We'll put money line on this. I had to go along with that. So. Yeah. But anyway, so all of the video games and all of the things that the next generation is interested in have a very subtle gaming and gambling element to it.
Yeah.
So RNG is a big part. Win-losses, putting something up to risk, winning something, that it is being such ingrained in how they do their decision-making. They're going to be really good at calculating odds naturally, but yet, like Polymarket. Are you familiar with Polymarket? If for those of you who don't know what it is, it's basically a way of betting on things outside of normal gaming, where you can bet on pop culture things, you can bet on... If it exists, you can freaking bet on it. And so I think a lot of, if somebody is good with mathematics and they can really do something like betting on politics, I read all the politics and I can bet who's going to win and what's going to happen and whatever, over the advantage of people who don't pay attention to it and don't have as much information on it, I might be able to make a living being a freaking gambler. So then you're like, roulette would be the bottom one. Blackjack, roulette, sports gaming. And then you have the RNG based things that are sort of middle. They don't make you any money, but they're, you're getting a practice of doing it. And then you have like stock market bonds. Like, what's the difference between going to the casino and buying equities in some companies? Is there much different?
No, I mean, stock markets and bonds, to me, I always thought the stock market was just gambling. It's just,
it is.
It's just a fancy way of gambling. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, it's more accepted, whatever, but you're still gambling. You're still putting money, yeah. It's the same. It's exactly the same thing.
Yeah. So, and if you pick out the industries that are going to be next, if I were to take, a 12-year-old kid right now and say, what do you want to get really good at? Statistics and probabilities, study RNG like crazy, AI and robotics. Another one. I would have said like software engineering. Did you see Grok, by the way? Holy shit. Grok 3 came out.
I've not seen that yet, no.
Holy shit. We all knew that these AIs, these large language models, could write computer code really well. So if I was like, write me a program that does, password protection and logging and whatever, it just dresses up the code, you run it, execute it, and you're like, holy shit. If I would have hired a programmer to do that, that would have cost me a couple $1,000. And a stupid chat bot just gave me the shit for free. Well, they one-upped it, where now you can make actual graphics and games with Grok. So this came out yesterday, and 8:30 in the morning is when it was released. And by like 11, a guy who he knows programming, he could have done this by hand, but he was testing it out. He created 4 revisions of a game that was a lot like Space Invaders or Mario Brothers or whatever. And first version took about 45 minutes to hit. Second version, he dressed up the graphics. Third version, more strategy and more things like, power pellets and whatever was in the game. And by 4th generation, I'm thinking somebody would have spent an entire summer putting that game together. It wouldn't have been as good. And this dude got it for effing free in 4 hours of an investment. That's a game changer when it comes to people who have, an engineering mind or a creation design. Yeah,
no, I mean, their AI is going to take the place of a lot of stuff. And so, it'll be interesting to see how that integrates with stuff that's, with jobs and that sort of thing that already exists, because, it is going to for sure take the place of a ton, and which it'll be convenient. But, people are going to have to find different ways to fields are going to get eliminated. Job fields you're going to see just wiped out because there's not going to be, you're not going to need it anymore. You know what I mean?
So let's couple these two topics. So I go to Grok, which is X's AI, and I say, hey, I'm going to bet on this sports team. I want you to go through all of the data on this and find me statistical history on stats of how many times they scored more than 4 touchdowns. And you're picking the over-under. And you're like, 20% of the time it scored more than blah, blah, blah. And you're like, it would have taken me an all weekend to figure out the history of this team. Does this help the gamblers before they defend against the accident, or everybody's doing it, one of the two? Do you think you could break Vegas? You could take the casino with the use of some kind of AI?
No, because I think that Vegas is going to use AI to set the odds to make sure that it still ends up back to where they want. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to use it too. It's not like... So it's going to be right where I think it's going to be exactly the same. Theoretically, it'll save you a lot. You're thinking like what I just said about systems as far as gambling and stuff go. Going through and seeing, like, looking at a trend history or looking at over-unders, whatever, like, it can do it in a split second for you. So, like, all that research and stuff that I would do, that can do me. So that's handy. But I think Vegas is just going to adjust to it too. So it'll just, you know what I mean? It'll make the odds different, or it won't be they'll use AI to their advantage too, to where it pretty much stays
okay, so you pick up your phone and you're looking at the roulette and you see the history screen and you're like, here are the last 20 numbers that came up. 24, 5, 6, 3, 9, 4. What is the most probable number to come up next? If it said 17, Dave, would you trust AI and go with 17, or would you would?
Yeah. So, I mean, because if it's sitting there saying it's doing exactly what I'm doing in my head for you in 2 seconds. So I would do it exactly the same thing.
You would round 17 like it's nobody's business.
I mean, I would do that, and I mean, but I would also have the other bets going on too. You know what I mean? So I would probably be asking it, well, give me, the thing could probably give you a real-time percentage of the probabilities of red's going to come up this time, black's going to come up this time. This is going to, you know what I mean? Like it would give you the percentages of that, and I would just sit there and hammer the main
whatever
percentage.
the percentage is. You get a huge percentage edge, you bet that like crazy. If you did that consistently, I bet you would be ahead. But then, like you said, the casinos are not going to be like, oh, we're losing this money because AI is being leveraged against our odds. We're just going to raise the odds. Then here's what happens. Then the casual gambler, huge disadvantage. They might as well not even gamble. It's almost like then everybody has to use AI because it's now too sophisticated for instinct or gut or whatever.
Yeah, I'm sure AI can count cards now at this point, can it? It has to be able to. So yeah, it'd be
100%.
like you could sit there and so yeah, I mean it'll be. I'm sure there's got to already be security in place against this, isn't there? In Vegas, I mean, we'd have to. That'd be an interesting conversation to have with somebody that runs a casino or somebody that's involved in that field to see what's in place to keep it from, because what's to say that AI doesn't take over the gambling world? Because there has to be other stuff in place that's combating that.
And I like the fact that we used to play with game theory, and you ever hear the prisoner's dilemma? Or the what's the game show where they have the doors and you pick? Was it Monty Hall? Yeah, Monty Hall. The Monty Hall paradox. Okay, so I'll hit you with this because this kind of like it defies internal logic, and being a math person as well, I want you to tell me what your real thoughts are, and I want you to kind of push back on me. So you got 3 doors, and behind one of those doors is a car. Okay. And the other 2 doors, it's the womp womp. And so you pick a door, and you pick the door, and they open one of the doors that you did not pick. And they're like, haha, this is the one, wah, wah, it's not that one. From game theory's standpoint, they give you the option that you can stick with the door that you picked first, or you can change and pick the other door. Is there a mathematical advantage at that point to pick the other door or stay with the door that you first chose?
I don't know. Would there be an advantage to picking the other door? I mean, I don't think so, because you're just going from 1 and 3 to 1 and 2, right? I mean, what's the? You tell me. Is there a mathematical advantage of flipping the door?
You switch doors every time, and you pick up mathematical advantage.
How?
Every time.
Explain that to me. I mean, you're going to teach me math.
Here's the test. I want to see if Grok knows what I know. I've not done this, so this could go sideways. So let's see what Grok says about the Monty Hall. Monty Hall, I think it's what it is. And my son and I, he will not accept that there is a mathematical advantage, because when you picked, it was a 33% chance. And just because one of the percentage 33% chance disappeared, he doesn't accept that you're rewarded with more of an advantage as time goes on. But anyway.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know how you would be. I mean, I'll have to explain this or whatever. See, maybe this can explain it. But yeah, I don't know why the percentage would go up for you to switch.
Let's see if it will do it. All right. Imagine you're a contestant of the game show. The 3 doors behind one door is a car. Behind the other 2 doors are no prize. They open the door, blah, blah, blah. Do you stick with the original pick or 3? What should you do to maximize your chance of winning the car? The intuition, at first glance, it might seem like there's a 50-50 chance after Monty opens the door. There are 2 doors left, and yours is the other one. So you might think each has a half chance of hiding the car, but that's not correct. The probability is the initial choice. When you pick the doors, there's a third of a chance, and 2/3 of a chance it's behind the other 2 doors. Probability car is 1/3. Probability cars behind door 2 is 2/3. Monty's action, he opens one of the other doors and shows a goat. He always does that. He picks the door. He didn't choose it. This thing has a little personality, doesn't it?
I guess.
If the car was behind the door, 1/3 chance, sticking wins and switching loses. If the car was behind door 2, door 3, 2/3 of a chance. Monty reveals only one goat, leaving the car behind the remaining doors. Switching wins. So sticking with door 1 still has a 1/3 chance of winning, but switching to door 3 now has a 2/3 chance of winning. So you've improved your odds to 66%.
I don't
Why
get it.
switching? Switching is better because Monty's action gives you extra information. When you first pick a door, you're likely wrong. 2/3 of chance of picking the wrong one.
Right.
And Monty then filters the remaining doors by eliminating one goat, effectively transferring 2/3 of the probability to the other unopened door. That's game theory, and it's not supposed to be easy to ingest. It is supposed to be something that...
I gotcha. I get that now. But yeah, you wouldn't think that at all. You wouldn't think it would give you an advantage to switch doors. You just think, oh, it's just still one of the whatever, and there's 2 left. It's,
All right, so let me give you the prisoner's dilemma, and I bet you Grok knows this one too. You familiar with this one?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so you and your buddy, you go out and rob a bunch of stores, right? Both of you are out there. Both of you get caught. So they take both of you at the police station. They put you in separate rooms. They give you a choice. You confess to the crimes, right? And if you confess to the crimes, you get 2 years. If the other guy confesses to the crimes, you both get 2 years. If you confess and they don't, you get 10 years. And if the other guy, you do it to the other guy, they get 10 years. So you're saying, if I am certain that my buddy is going to not say anything, the best outcome is both of us shut up and whatever. Do I trust my buddy that he confesses only get 2 years and now I get 10 years and vice versa? So statistically, what is confessing or staying silent has a statistical advantage for the best outcome for you? And I'm going to ask Grok while you're thinking about it.
I'm gonna say the opposite of what I think it is because I think I'm wrong. So I'm gonna say staying silent has a better chance.
And you are right.
Because yeah, you would think confessing like, well, then I at least have a chance. He confesses, blah blah blah. But yeah, no, it's probably not. It's
okay. The best outcome in the prisoner's dilemma from a collective perspective is when both prisoners cooperate and stay silent. The result of the lowest combined prison time, 1 year, totaling 2 years. It maximizes the mutual benefit. Achieving the best outcome. In a one-shot game with no communication, cooperation is unlikely without trust. However, in the real world or iterated versions, the best outcome becomes more of achievable. So 1, mutual trust, both believe the other will cooperate. So the best outcome, both cooperate, yields the least punishment, but requires overcoming the temptation to defect for personal gain. So this is just, again, if you take all of the outcomes and you put them on a spreadsheet, right? You are not, there's not going to be the perfect outcome, just like whatever. But if you take the best chances or odds, staying silent has the best potential to deliver your best outcome. So now you know if you rob someone, right? You stay silent. If you're given 3 doors, you always switch. You're learning a great deal as a professional gambler.
Well, now I just gotta go. Now I gotta go on a game show with 3 doors.
You know what to do
to apply it. You know what I mean? I don't think I'm ever gonna be on a game show. I don't think I'm ever gonna be in that situation. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think how you could apply that to. How could you apply that? Let's think about this for a minute. How could you apply that to something in sports gambling? Like what scenario? What scenario is similar enough that you would like? You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, there's. I mean, I guess you'd have to pick like. There's something with 3 choices, obviously. But I'm trying to think what could have 3 choices that you would be able to do that.
It'd probably have to be some prop bet, something weird that doesn't have like a lot of connected thing, like a coin flip type of deal.
Yeah.
Where there might be 3 different outcomes, and as it. This question: do you like when like DraftKings will tempt you to cash out your bet before the game is over and giving you less than the full payout, but they're trying to get you to cash out before the game is over?
I usually don't cash out or whatever. I usually just because I still bet with the mentality that like I did years ago when I had a bookie. You know what I mean? Like I can't cash out with my bookie halfway through the game, so it's like I just always just sort of let it ride. So I mean, I get why they do that because they're trying to save their ass, especially when something becomes way more certain.
Well, who's got the bigger advantage? You cashing out when the game could absolutely go the other direction, or is it their advantage? They're getting people to take lesser than.
Well, I mean, I think it's just a way for them to save more money on it. I don't know that. I'm not sure where the advantage necessarily lies, but I would assume it's with them because they're just maximizing however much they can make on whatever it is, even if they're going to lose or so they're minimizing losses and you know what I mean, so that sort of thing. So I would assume it would be with them.
I'm with you. I really think that the early buyout. Really what it does is their odds are going to make it so that they're at a 50-50, they get the scrape, and that's what they make their living off of. But if they can get people who otherwise would have won to cash out early, they minimize the upside. There's no downside on their part, except for paying out a game that otherwise would have gone the other direction, right? But I think it's more skewed on the other side where people get excited that their team's winning, and they're like, I hope they don't freaking blow this, and then they can cash out and take less than kind of a thing.
Can I tell you something that drives me absolutely crazy with sports shows and stuff now is when they come up with or even it can be even like in game, right? So when they give you the probabilities of who's going to win the game, like in real time, like that is the dumbest thing to me ever because it's like you're sitting there like, oh, so and so had a 95% chance to win at this point in the game. Well, then something happens, and then now it's only 40%. Well, no shit, because I don't understand why they do that, and then they'll go back to those stats like, oh, in the third quarter, according to our next gen whatever the hell stats, this had a 90% chance to win, but then it went like, well, yeah, but shit didn't happen yet. To do like, I hate when they do that. Like when it just seems pointless to me. It seems very like a useless stat, and it's like a way to make it seem like, oh, this team really blew this more than they should have, or what. I don't know what they're accomplishing with that.
All right, well, let me push back on that. I'm gonna push back. So your roulette wheel and the numbers that the numbers that are listed there are ones that have come back in the past. From a statistical standpoint, that wheel resets every time that ball is run. There is really no this one's due from a mathematical standpoint. That is done to give the player some either safety or some insight. It's false information, but it makes people gamble more when you think you have some kind of like, I see something in those numbers and I know what's going to happen next. Same thing with a baseball game and who's going to likely to win. It makes gamblers think that they've got some new information. It makes them more likely to go back to the betting window, put some more money down because of information that they have. It means nothing. Like literally, it can come down to the last inning. It can get down to the fourth quarter, and that percentage means absolutely nothing except for to draw more bettors into the game.
I gotcha. All right. So
has to be.
So that's why they do it. Because it'll drive me nuts. It'll be like 2 minutes left in a game. Like, oh, with 2 minutes left, they had a 96% chance to win, and then they lost. Well, yeah, because this idiot fumbled the ball or whatever. You know what I mean? Like the coach made a really dumbass decision, and then it's just.
But if you saw how many more people will walk up to a roulette table that has, you see the board, and there was 15 black that came up and like 2 red, that they think they saw something nobody else did, and I'm going to get them. But it has just the same ability to flip a coin and go heads 15 times in a row if it really felt like it, right? No, there isn't a do thing. Last question. So you're playing a tournament poker, right? And you've eliminated 20 players. Comes down to you heads up with the other person, right? Winner take all. But you say to the person, why don't we just do the split, right? I don't know who's really going to win, but let's not play out the you versus me. Let's just split the pot. Yes, that's annoying as shit, or no?
It kind of depends. But I understand why people would do it. You know what I mean? Like if you got to that point and it's like, oh, here's $1 million. Hey, let's split $1 million instead of you get all and I get all, whatever. You know what I mean? It's a tempting thing to do just to make sure it's kind of like cashing out the bet early on your phone or whatever else too. It's sort of the same deal. But I mean, I can understand why people would do it.
Yeah, 20 deep in a tournament, you think, man, I had a really good run and I caught some really good cards. And so if I given the option to be able to say I'm due for a bad luck and I can split it with the other guy, but if the other guy's like, fuck, like my streak is just getting hot, baby, I'm going to take this dude down. I hate it. I like to see all of those games go down to single winner, played it to the very end and whatever. And it annoys the shit out of me when they split it early.
You know, the first time I ever gambled, I went to Vegas and I sat down and playing blackjack, and it was just me and the dealer, and I won. I think it was something like 15 hands in a row. Right, the first time I've ever sat at a table and legally gambled, and I remember the dealer saying, "If you'd have doubled down on every one of those, you'd be the millionaire." Like, yeah, it's like, which is insane to think about. It was like, you know what I mean? But who would? Like, what are the odds that you're going to hit? You're going to beat them 15. You're going to win 15 straight hands in that, and you're going to double down on every one of them. But
so,
like,
but that
warped my mind because I was like, "Holy crap!" Yeah, like
that is a real thing. Like somebody who's brand new to gambling really doesn't know what they're doing. They get luck more than anybody else. Why is that? What about the universe rewards a little bit of naive thinking and putting yourself in harm's way?
I think the universe just wants us to lose all our money.
It has it out for you.
I'm gonna get you hooked on this shit, get you addicted, and fuck you. I'm gonna take all your shit on the back end of this. The universe has it out for us. Fuck the universe.